Yeah, this is just my review and opinions of the online master's program of computer science at Georgia Tech. I just graduated in the summer of 2025. My specialization specifically was on human computer interaction. And this is just like video with my own experiences and opinions. So everything you can listen and hear, can take it with a grain of salt. But hopefully, this might help someone who's looking into joining the program. So I decided to do the program after I graduated with my bachelor's. I had a bachelor's in CS. I thought it would be just like the same, like kind of like finishing school, going into my master's. I felt like because I was already in that kind of state of mind, I thought like why not just keep going? And I had this like dream and idea that like when I have my like someday I'll have my cap and gown and I'll graduate, I'll have a piece of paper and then everything will be happily ever after, you know? The reality that I faced being in the program, I realized it's very different than being in a being at school and college full time is different than being working full time and also being in school. There's like a lot of burnout that happens. I guess the biggest cause for me for burnout was looking around. A lot of people I know, my friends and coworkers, are just working, and so it seems like they have a lot of time to like do things, and like you're always kind of constrained to this idea of like you're stuck having to do something for class or do a project, and so you get a lot of FOMO, and just seeing other people's lives, like you kind of wish like, oh, what am I doing in this program? And then it kind of like makes you feel lost and feels like you don't have a lot of direction. That's like something I also faced as well, you know. And so in those low points are kind of you come to a point where sometimes you're like you're not really sure why you're in the program or what you're doing. So it's just something to keep in mind and consider. So for this program, would I recommend it? I think it depends, you know, like it really depends on how you personally feel like you learn. Like the program itself, I would compare to like a karate dojo. There's like a sensei, there's someone that like teaches you certain things. You kind of like join together with other people. You guys are like working together and learning. And so I think some people like thrive in that specific environment to learn and to grow. If you're kind of looking for that, then this program would be it. Other people are kind of looking for something more isolated, I guess, like learning the piano, for example. Some people don't really need someone to kind of teach them or guide them or anything like that. I feel like in a program like that, this might not be the best program to go to learn, in my opinion. And then another good thing about this program is there's so many resources, there's so many books, there's so many um, things online like software programs that you can access as a Georgia Tech student. Georgia Tech Library. There's a lot of research papers I was able to read for classes and use the O'Reilly resources. It was super helpful for me personally. And then there's a lot of networking and research opportunities. I think the biggest thing is that in every class, you know, you get to like talk to each other, get LinkedIn connected, get on Discord. And so I think there's room and opportunity to kind of connect with other students, other people, and also like research opportunities. There's so many seminars, there's so many emails that get passed around. And so I think if you're looking for research, if you're looking to like find some kind of project or working with a professor, I think it's very easy to like maybe like go into that and look more deeper into that if that's what you're looking for personally, you know. The biggest thing I think I found though is the reality of learning in the program. So if you're trying to take the idea of like, oh, I might be able to learn something that I might be able to apply professionally in my career, it's kind of like I feel like the analogy would be like learning how to play an instrument, like you learning how to play guitar. It's information, I think, that's very contextual. Maybe at the time you're trying to play the guitar, you learn how to play, you impress your friends and other people. But I don't know, as you progress and get older, you learn you're not really playing instruments, you know? It's like the same thing, I think. A lot of things and content, information in the course, in the program, kind of teaches you certain things. And eventually you kind of come to realize that a lot of things aren't applicable at all to like what you're doing personally, and you kind of but at the same time there is some small semblance of things that can be applicable, like even though you may have learned how to play the guitar forever ago, there's still some things from that process or from learning that kind of relate to things that you might be doing day to day now, you know? Another thing that you have to kind of understand and consider is like, you know, things in technology in the field are progressing so fast. You know, even like a year can be, so many things can be changing in terms of innovation and changes. And the program is always going to teach you things that aren't really on the cutting edge or on the most recent things that are applicable to your professional career. A lot of times you're kind of learning things from a textbook, in a classroom, in a course. And so it's like learning how to type on a typewriter, you know? Like, it's not that old, but it also comes to terms with the fact that some things aren't as up to date or as relevant as you may want them to be. And honestly, like, another hard truth to kind of think about and consider is like, maybe if you got your master's, maybe it's nothing more than like a participation trophy. Not in a bad way, it's just considering the fact that even if you have a master's and have done everything for the program, it might not technically set you apart or give you any sort of benefit professionally, or might not get you anywhere differently than where you're already at. And so the biggest question is, can you commit to kind of this kind of program with that mentality? It's like signing a contract for your life that I'm going to dedicate 5 hours of my week for the next 2 years. And so that doesn't sound too bad in the very beginning, but as time progresses, as a month goes by, as 2 months goes by, as a year goes by, you kind of get more and more burnt out and worn down of having to commit even 5 hours of your week, because you realize that when you're working and you come home and you do dishes and you do a lot of other things, you don't have a lot of time left in the day to kind of commit to anything other than maybe wanting to spend your own time. And also, it's just something to consider is how much you want to commit in your day to be studying and working, as opposed to kind of having your own balance of your own time to just do what you want to do technically. And so just to end off, there's like 3 questions I would say, like, if you're interested in the program, to kind of like ask yourself. And there's no like right or wrong answer. It's just something to kind of maybe help you get closer to thinking, is this program for me? The first one is thinking like, why am I wanting a master's in computer science? Is it like you're looking to change careers? Is it something you're looking as like a personal goal? I think just like kind of like having that in your back of your mind can be helpful. 2, can I commit my time to being back in school? It's like a big commitment. It's not just like taking courses and doing projects, but if you're living your life day to day, you're already going to have a lot of responsibilities and commitments already. So it's just thinking like, could you add on top of this? And what's like your reason or goal, going back to the first question? And then third, thinking about like what would be the outcome of getting your master's. For some people, it would be like a promotion, it'd be a raise. Other people, maybe they're not expecting anything, you know? Like, it's just, what do you think will be the outcome of what you will get when you get your master's? And if that's not the case, will that be okay? You know, that's like kind of like a deep reflection into maybe thinking about whether or not this program is right for you. And so that was quick. That was just kind of like my 2 cents. If any of this was helpful, if you can just like, subscribe, and comment, and then I'll try and like make more videos like this. All right.